Hello, everybody. My name is Eric McLeod.
And I'm Chris Holden.
And brr, feels like there's a chill in the air. Oh,
it's so cold.
Yeah, we've got our winter stuff on because winter is coming. It's December 2nd, and it was AEW Dynamite with their special pay-per-view edition here with winter is coming. And oh boy, did this ever live up to the pay-per-view expectations, I think.
Well, all graphics and stuff were cold, but the show was hot. Sorry, I took this stuff off because I'm going to get in trouble for smoking with Shannon's hat on.
Fair enough. We should have had, if we had planned that out, we would have had Hawaiian shirts to have taken off right after as soon as you had that pop there. But oh well, you can disrobe. I'll keep this hat on as long as I can until my head starts sweating too much. See how many matches I make it through. But yeah, we kicked off the night with the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. This is for the diamond ring that MJF carries that he had won in the last time we had one of these Battle Royals. So nice to bring that back here again. A little sort of tweak to this one in particular where they have the winners fighting the next night rather than right there afterwards. I believe MJF had his match right afterwards after winning or whatever the last time they did the Battle Royal. But an interesting sort of twist to extend the sort of story of what was going on with this match.
Yeah, sure. Push the one-on-one in the next week. The Battle Royal, get that out of the way tonight. I honestly loved the show. I thought it was great. I thought we talked earlier today after our other show about wrestling we did on the radio version, talking about Saturday Night's Main Event, how much I used to enjoy that. Yeah. Because it was a show typically built around one main event and then a whole lot of really good filler matches to keep you entertained and tuned in to watch the main event and excited for it. And I really felt like that's what tonight's show was. And the Battle Royal is just an excellent, different kind of match to highlight a whole bunch of guys and get a few stories intertwining and over together. And they did a perfect job with that. Miro looked fantastic.
No, yeah, for sure. I think on all fronts there, you're showcasing a bunch of the guys that aren't going to be able to get singles or tag matches tonight on this sort of big showcased card. So why not have them all sort of together in a big battle royal like this? It's one of my favorite kind of matchups when it's done right. And this certainly was done right, in my opinion. Yeah, they didn't have too many sort of lulls in there with sort of like people waiting to kind of get out. People were smart with their entering of the battle royal, even though you can kind of just jump in supposed to jump in at the start, but some people were sort of very tentative with it, where you got Sean Spears and Scorpio Sky sort of testing the waters a little bit at first. You get the smart heels with the inner circle sort of playing to the corners and using the muscle of Wardlow to sort of keep them away from everybody. So yeah, you had a lot of stories sort of playing out here. Matt Hardy looking fantastic early on, getting a lot of big surprise toss-outs. I like the teaming up with Hangman and the Dark Order as well. Plenty of just little hints as to the other stories that are taking place on Dynamite.
Yeah, Johnny was too hungry, dumped out along with or by Hardy and Quinn, who then got dropped as well. Dark Order saving Page was pretty cool.
Yeah, that
was a neat spot. I thought Miro looked fantastic. The Inner Circle looked smart and together as a group. Right up until they didn't near the end. That was a fantastic spot. All of that was good. The 3-on-1 against Miro, I thought, was particularly well done. It didn't end ridiculously with Miro tossing them all out and being the superstar that overcomes all the odds, but he overcame the odds just enough to not look like a weakling.
Yeah.
Still look strong in defeat. So I thought that was really good.
And it was a build too, where he just kept getting more and more angry and over and throwing these guys all over the place after what had happened to Kip and everything with Orange. It just kind of put him on a rage streak, sort of just eliminating guys. And then, dealing with the Inner Circle, trying to get him out and then fighting them off at first. Yeah, I thought this really got Miro over as quite a dominant force.
And then, of course, Sammy gets fucked again. And it's MJF versus Orange Cassidy next week.
Yes, that should be interesting to see how that plays out. And again, keeping Orange in a big showcase match, which is what they want to do, a big star for them over there. And furthering the Inner Circle and MJF story as the Inner Circle kind of implode afterwards.
Yeah,
I
next
guess
week
that
we'll.
further later on, but it started here.
Yeah. So next week it will be a really entertaining battle royal, entertaining way to kick off this show, and it leads to a great matchup for next week's card, building that. So
Yeah, for sure, the deciding factor with the ring, MJF and Orange Cassidy. So I think a
all
great
my
match for
thumbs
Dynamite.
up.
Yep, no, great way to kick off this winter is coming Dynamite.
Then we had Chris Jericho taking on Frankie Kazarian of the SCU in an absolutely great match. I don't think that, again, we expected it to be a barnstormer of a match with two veterans who just know how to work a really good wrestling match, and that's what it was.
Yeah, I think the way you had described it on the radio this week earlier, I'm going to say we'll plug again the radio show. People, we have to find the archives now because it already aired earlier today. But like you discussed, yeah, two veterans that just have been around wrestling for quite a while. And this is not necessarily was a match to further a feud necessarily between these two or to tell that kind of story. It was the story of just two veterans that can also play well in the ring together. People more familiar maybe with Jericho, so it gets Kazarian over in a sense at that veteran level. And I think it really solidified him there, especially as a single star here in this matchup. Really on par with Jericho back and forth for a majority of the matchup.
Yep, and an excellent finish the whole way. The match itself and the finish in the ring, plus the story going on the outside with MJF about to throw in a towel, Sammy stopping him, but then being the one holding the towel. I thought for a moment the towel was going to get knocked out of Sammy's hand while he was wildly gesticulating it in the air.
Right.
So it was that he had thrown it in. But went with Jericho getting the finish.
Yeah, no, great little story elements there taking place with MJF, and just a little kind of shit-heel grin that he had when he just about threw it in. And again, the sort of callback to the Cody incident and all that kind of stuff. And then a great sort of take on the Guerrero spot, right, where you're sort of turning the sort of the tides on who was actually at fault there. So no, a great sort of wedge again to the inner circle, and it seems like they have an ultimatum for next week.
The decide or disband for next Wednesday night. I nearly said next Tuesday night. That's a whole different angle. We'll talk about that later.
Yes. That's teasing much too much for further on. But yes, next Wednesday we will get the whatever I said it.
The inner circle.
Yes, the inner circle. Whatever he was calling it, though. That's the word I'm stumbling on. I can't quite remember. Whatever he was.
The ultimatum.
Thank you. Yes, the ultimatum that he was going to give out to the inner circle, to whether they could all get along, MJF and Wardlow included, or whether they are going to disband. So we'll see how that plays out, and maybe how that plays into MJF's match with Cassidy later on. So we had a little interview with the Young Bucks in the back to sort of put over that they're going to be taking on the Hybrid 2 next week. Really kind of amping them up. We had sort of predicted that earlier as well, that it wasn't on this card, that it seemed like that match was coming, though inevitably the build was there over the last few weeks with TH2, and a nice little moment with the Acclaimed as well. Have you seen them at all, or have they just been on?
Nope. That was my introduction to the Acclaimed. As with most of the things on Dynamite, you just see them on Dynamite. Hi, we're here now.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. But again, yes, if you've been watching Dark, I guess you've seen these guys. I did see their name pop up during the Dark results on the bottom. How many matches did you have to sit through? 36? Jesus Christ, that was a fucking packed Dynamite card.
It's like 2 hours, and I mean, I feel like that's a whole other discussion. But yes, Dark was like 2 hours and 20 minutes again this week. It was like 2 hours and 40 minutes last week. That's almost 3 hours.
It's like match after match after match
that they're putting out.
It's jobber winning after jobber winning after jobber winning. You're like, who are these fucking jabronis that are losing on Dark then? Oh my God.
Well, some of them aren't always just necessarily in that. I can see it from the outside perspective too, but like some of them have been like worthy enhancement people for a long time who have now been an enhancement for almost a year, and then they're now finally getting some wins.
Right on.
Like Red Velvet or Kylan King and people like that. Even seeing, like, if we went back to the Diamond Battle Royal, seeing little Lee Johnson in there. He's just popping up in all these small moments where he just went from being this small enhancement guy. So I get what they're doing, but there's a ton of stuff on Dark. So I get where there's a lot to take in, and it is a lot of short enhancement matches. But yeah, it lets you sort of get more familiarized with the people they're getting ready to.
Which, and I totally agree with that as a way to do it and way to do the bit. It was just, I'm remembering several months ago, Dark was like, there, 4 results pop up, 5, maybe 6. Tonight it was result after result after result. Like, please tell me this was for the month. Holy shit. The bit with Marvez and the Bucks confused me a little bit just with the way it opened, with the Matt Jackson bringing up the, remember when we kicked you in the face a few weeks ago? Just kind of completely out of nowhere, and then Nick taking over and going more into the wrestling side of it. And then the way that the playing into the match against TH2 next week will be non-title until you've earned a shot at these. And that seems like such a heel thing to do versus the fighting champion that will put the belt on the line all the time.
Right.
So yeah, just a little, again, nothing new really with the Bucks over the last couple of months of being left a little bit head scratchy after their things. So this is obviously what they're playing right now. So
yeah, I think it's either at this point you got to get on the horse or get off at this point, because I don't see them teetering one way or the other. This feels like this is just the Bucks right now. They are this sort of tweenery, shithead, or not shithead, but asshole type people. And I don't necessarily see the tapping on you got to earn. I feel that you have to earn it in the fact that TH2 have just been, not doing anything to earn title shots, attacking.
I agree. Yeah.
The Top Flight and stuff like that. So, but again, it is usually the thing that a heel does. So it, again, story-wise probably could have been told a little better, but didn't bother me much. But I could certainly see the how that could apply there.
The Acclaimed coming out with the new John Cena thing was shit onable until the Jacksons shit on it for being a ripoff of Cena's Thugonomics gimmick themselves. So it didn't really need pointing out. But yeah. And then SCU came in and ran off TH2. So I guess we'll get some 8-man matches out of this as well.
Possibly. Or yeah, just showing who the sort of friends are there in the backstage areas. But yeah, we sort of got a little bit touching on the tag team division, which wasn't necessarily showcased much tonight, but nice to see everyone sort of being featured here in this little moment. We moved on to Britt Baker taking on Layla Hirsch.
Britt Baker DMD.
Sorry, I always forget. My apologies to the dentist and her best friend Rebel. I don't want to upset them there. No, a great match from her. She certainly made Layla look. They played well together. She got Layla over, selling for her quite a bit, and Britt just looking fantastic. She just, I think just definitely showing she's the elite of the women's division, to put it. So bluntly there for All Elite Wrestling.
No, I would tend to agree with you, and I think that was a good spot on the card to have a female match, and we get some furthering with Britt Baker now in a storyline with Thunder Rosa coming out and attacking her, and the agents breaking it up and pulling it apart as opposed to one dominating attack until the heel runs away. Yeah. I like that too. I really thought that this is a good build for what we're going to see as being a good match coming up. So.
Well, you mentioned it, so I feel like I have to at least bring this up because I wanted to at least get your opinion on it. Do you feel that are they only sending Jerry Lynn out there so that the crowd can chant Jerry? Because that's all I do at home. Like I sit there like Jerry, 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 Jerry. And I'm hoping that that's why they're doing it, but maybe that's just me.
I'm hoping it's that and not because girls are fighting. It's reminding me of Jerry Springer. They're too young to remember Jerry Springer, and that's not why they're chanting Jerry, Jerry, right? Because that's where I remember hearing it from.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like that's why they're trying to at least drum up that reference so people see Jerry, but they know to chant it in that old Jerry chant, like some kind of a callback. I feel like it reminded me back when the Jade Cargill or whatever moment happened. He first came out in that when she and Brandy were getting into it and people started chanting Jerry. I'm like, oh, did they do that intentionally, or was that just sort of happenstance that people were like, the fans just caught on that, hey, that's Jerry Lynn, let's chant Jerry Springer right now because this is a great Jerry Springer moment. Anyway, little tangent there, but back to the blow by blow here. Fantastic match. You didn't necessarily have to have the Thunder Rosa match right here either to make this feel any less special for the women's division. It's sort of the build is certainly there with the promo that Britt was cutting on on Thunder Rosa just beforehand in the promo package, and then her attacking her immediately afterwards, obviously igniting that kind of feud. And then we later on got an idea what Sheeta's up to. So no, they're obviously keeping all the women busy. So fantastic to see that here.
Yep, agreed. We got a clip of Taz from last week attacking Cody Rhodes after the match with Ricky Sparks and the tag match from last week with Hobbs and Sparks. Yeah. Then we got Cody and Darby against Ricky Sparks and Powerhouse Will Hobbs. Good match. Like, fine, no problem with it. Blown away by the ending, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how long do we have to talk about this match? Because all I want to talk about is the ending. Because it's hard for me to remember the match because
I'm the same.
So I'm trying to think back because no, they did a great job. I guess the night was a little off just because they were trying to build to this big timed out main event. So I wasn't sure for you. I know they went to commercial as soon as the match started. Was that a little jarring at all, to throw you off for it? Yeah,
for sure.
That seemed a little strange because, I'm going to say, I watch on Fight, so the feed is just the straight feed. There's no commercials. So when they said, oh, we have to go to commercials, that feels like, very, very strange. And they probably didn't plan on that happening. But they seem to do a good job to just kind of work Ricky Starks over and then kind of get the match going after that point. So it felt like, at least for me, because of that, it had a bit of a slow start, but it seemed intentional because they were sort of stuck in that situation.
That is how it felt coming back from a break, was that I'm assuming we're kind of just seeing the beginning here, but the problem is you don't know what you've missed. So you can only assume what you're assuming when you're in that position, right? So
for sure, if they're not going to fill you in with highlights and stuff like that, but I think, it seemed more of just a timing issue, and they were more sort of trying to, filibuster or almost to sort of fill the gap, and it was more just a back and forth beating on Ricky Starks, so not much extra story there.
Which it's typical for commercial break wrestling. I think they do it a little bit differently when they're doing the picture-in-picture stuff because they're hoping that you're going to maintain concentration on the smaller side of the split screen.
Yeah,
which is tough too, depending on what the commercial is.
Sure.
Some commercials are really fucking good. So, for me, the highlight, it was a really typical match with a lot of the spots you'd expect from everybody. I like the highlight was the double flip out of the two belly to back suplexes that they threw on Darby, where he flipped out of the first and flipped over the second one for the hot tag to Cody.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of the end. And then a really nice finish. I like the blind tag for the coffin drop, but Cody seemed to know that had happened, so he had no problem doing the suicide dive to the outside to maintain the finish.
Yeah, they were.
I thought that was great.
Really fluent together, Darby and Cody.
Had
these few tag matches together, and again, they feel sort of one-offs, but not that we need another Nightmare family member, but I'm enjoying when Cody tags with Darby, so I really enjoy
even their matches against each other. They've got great chemistry together.
Yeah, so I think they were able to work that. They're finding their right timing in the match when they both were able to showcase themselves well and then work together really well, especially working into that finish leading up to Darby getting the coffin drop on Ricky Starks to get the finish there. So fantastic match between all these guys, led to a big brawl as we got, who came out first? Probably was Brian Cage, I imagine.
Well, the two guys started beating down on Cody and Darby, and Dustin had to come out to make the first save.
Right.
So Dustin Rhodes came out first and made the save for the Nightmare family. In essence, though, making it 3-on-2.
And Arn had got involved right away too, and then they had attacked Arn.
Yeah, in essence, making it a 4-on-2 for the good guys.
That's what called out Dustin, because he was just like, I'm not having any of that. I'm not going to have Arn getting beat up. So they attacked Arn because the other guys were already down. Dustin had come out. Then Brian Cage came out. This all just kind of chaos seems to ensuing, but then someone cut the power.
The lights go dead. And how long did you think that this was going to be the worst possible way to debut Taz's son as a good guy?
I was not thinking about Hook. I was my mind was racing, trying to come up with who has a snow gimmick. It can't be fucking
Glacier. It's Glacier, everybody.
Who they had in a fucking battle royal a long time ago, and I know he's a member of Cody's training regimen and stuff like that. I'm like, it can't be Glacier. I'm like, who could this I'm like, the Mountain? Who could this fucking snow person be? Is it a new take for somebody? What is this kind of thing? And then I was completely thrown off.
I thought Sabu when the lights first went out, because it's Taz.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd see Sabu in the ring.
Oh man, yeah.
I did not expect to see Sting. The man they call Sting.
Yeah, I had a full-on old-time kid mark-out moment on my couch, just fucking slapping my knee. Like, dang, I can't believe when I saw those letters. I couldn't, like, I mean, I'd heard the rumors, and I was like, I mean, sure. Like, when they pulled his stuff from WWE Shop, and it seemed like he was, like, not going to be part of their Legends deal anymore, I'm like, okay, there's potential of him at least showing up to do something I felt maybe more of a pay-per-view one-off kind of.
That's when we talked about it. That's when we talked about it. I could not remember if it was on air or off air, but it was right at that time that we were talking about the potential as next to CM Punk, which is next to not happening. This Sting was the biggest possible person they could possibly bring in to get that audience pop and that true level of, holy shit, you got this guy? Because there isn't anybody left outside of WWE anymore.
Yeah, and now like a year and change into Dynamite, it feels so much less of the WCW nostalgia grab that it was doing, and now it feels like it was just the pull on the heartstrings. Like hearing Tony Schiavone say Sting again on TNT, like I was just when they were saying he was going to interview him next week, I'm like, yes, Tony Schiavone and Sting. Are you fucking kidding me?
That was probably more WCW for me at the moment that Schiavone was like, Sting!
Yeah.
Schiavone voice. Like, but it's March 26, 2001. I will never, like, I was watching, it's the day after my birthday. It was the final Nitro.
Yeah.
The vaunted double showing where they were going to simulcast on Raw Nitro bits because he bought it. And the news broke that morning. It was the biggest thing ever that had happened in pro wrestling at that time.
Yeah.
And I watched that night, flipping between both shows I usually did, but even more eagerly and more like, I mean, you can only imagine what that was.
Oh, yeah.
Like. So, yeah, I'll never forget that. And watching Sting beat Ric Flair that night was like brought a literal tear to my eye.
Yeah.
To watch, and it was the end of an era, the end of an everything. And yeah, now 19 years later, nearly 20 years later, he's back on that network in a ring, signed apparently to a multi-year fucking contract.
Yeah, like he is all elite. He's got the graphic up, like he is full on, all in, all
now,
elite wrestling. Like,
do you think,
I don't care in what kind of status, like Sting is fucking here. Like,
do you think there's any chance, right, they go full fucking, full on, take the piss out of WWE and have Cody Rhodes beat him at Revolution? Have Billy Gunn get in the ring again, and like have some other old guys getting in the ring with him.
I'm sure they'll call back to it in some way whenever that match eventually happens.
I do hope not, but I'm like, ooh, I wonder if they're gonna go full Triple H with Cody here and have him beat him in his debut.
I think he wouldn't
match.
I think he wouldn't have signed if there was any kind of shenanigans planned. I think this is someone who takes their character very, very seriously, and to see it here and in that kind of prominence, and then just the vibing off of Arn at first, and then off of Cody, and then off of Dustin, and then off of Darby, where you're just like, oh my god, just like him and Darby, just so many different generations of face painted wrestlers here.
It made me laugh with the Darby face off, because it was kind of like, this side you don't have pain, but this side you do. The fuck's up with you, son? And he just walked away.
And he's like, I never thought of doing that.
I mean, you do it or you don't do it, right? All right, I guess.
I don't know. But no, I fucking love this. Love Sting. All wrestling. I'll, even if I'm just a mark for it, whatever, I don't care. I'm full on for Sting in all elite wrestling in any capacity. So definitely enjoyed this. And I was like, man, this isn't even the end of the night. This is your sort of your 9 o'clock topper, getting ready leading into your main event. And Jesus Christ, what a mid peak to have here after this match. And like we were saying, we talked more about that moment because it didn't take away from the match. The match was great, but it was just so hard to remember after this fucking moment happened. Agreed.
But I don't think it took away from the main event. It just got me more amped, more pumped and into the show, and then like, oh, that's right,
separate. Yeah,
this match is coming up next. Like, and then we got.
It wasn't like it kept being mentioned, right? Like they ran through the last little bit of like what's coming up next week, the stuff with the Bucks, the MJF match, the Inner Circle. Then you're going to hear from Sting, and then that was it. Then that was the end of the Sting stuff, and you're going to get more next time. But then now we're going to focus on the main event, right? So
yeah.
Yeah, we had the next week rundown. We also had a quick little interview with Sheeta.
That's right. Sheeta
She
came
seems a little tentative about
the cosplay wrestler.
Abaddon. Yes, she's calling her a cosplayer, but we'll see how that plays out.
I like cosplay too. I like that line. That made me laugh.
Yeah, kind of taking the piss out of her a little bit, but I think we'll just have to see how Abaddon responds and how that sort of plays out between those two. But a quick little Moxley promo also to get you sort of amped up for this main event. They were sort of obviously trying to get through as many commercials, I think, before they could get to the proper show here. Coming back from the next one, we get Don Callis joining the commentary booth again, something that wasn't announced, but we had all sort of probably assumed was going to happen again with a big Kenny Omega match. But you never really know. But I was more hoping, I guess, rather than assuming. But
no, I honestly didn't even give it a second thought when I heard him start speaking again. You're like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Oh, an awesome extra addition again. I liked it the last time he was here, and it made sense because they had him there before, so they'd laid groundwork for it being totally normal and natural.
Yeah. I had only thought of it like midnight. Or like mid during the show. I was like, yeah, I wonder if maybe they'll bring Callis out again, but. I mean, obviously, we'll get to it as to where this is going. But again, I liked the little seeds of it.
Yeah, and even if you had thought to yourself, I wonder if he'll be on commentary. That's as far as that thought went, right?
So, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, right. So still, just genius.
Yeah, I was not thinking of it anywhere beyond that point. But yes, Don Callis joined the commentary booth, and we get to our main event: Jon Moxley taking on Kenny Omega in what has to have been probably the best Dynamite match I've probably ever seen. Like, holy shit. It was a great match.
Hard to think of a better one. It was very standard Moxley, standard Omega for the most part, for the first 15 minutes. It kicked into a second gear around the leg lock moves.
Yeah.
And the holds on the legs. They started to then ramp up and get going more. And then it seemed more like a Japanese style match.
It certainly had that kind of pacing too, where it has that sort of slow start a little bit. You get the sort of the shambling outside as well, and then the sort of build between headlocks, leg locks, trying to weaken down your opponent, and then obviously building to the shot for shot stuff they were doing early on, and then later on as well, very Japanese influenced as well. So yeah, definitely felt like more of a Kenny wrestle or a New Japan style match.
Yeah, Moxley's chest looked like a fucking brick wall, as red as it was. Bruised after some of the chops, and that was early on.
Yeah.
The knee toss onto the guardrail, that was nasty.
Oh, yeah.
I liked the way that looked because it looked really, really painful. And the second paradigm shift that Moxley dished out to Omega was straight up and down.
Yeah.
Like, he went in like a nail going, getting hammered into a wall. That was fantastic.
Yeah, watching the first one was shocking, and then him getting up and grabbing the chairs was sort of like, geez, you're not really sure, but you could tell Moxley was just getting more and more amped up as this fight was going on. He was just getting more and more into it, and then leading to the shot for shots. And then, that second paradigm shift, I was like, holy shit, is this fucking over? Like, we've just been, used to the paradigm shift just putting everybody away in AEW, especially. But the sort of slow move to the cover, Kenny just barely kicking out, you kind of remember, oh yeah, this is the best bout machine you're dealing with. He kicks out a fucking Rainmakers. Like, this guy knows his fucking shit. Like, so, and I like how Kenny just had to slowly build with it too, kept teasing the V triggers and not quite getting them off, and Moxley just being that little bit sharper at first, and then Kenny finally getting little moments to take advantage and hit him with a few. And then, quite the sequence leading into the end of this match.
We get Kenny taking a paradigm shift on the outside of the ring next to what was one of the heaters, apparently. And I thought it was like awful close to him bashing his head straight into either the concrete or the bottom of the heater on the angled bit that it was. Yeah. Almost like Hardy cracked the back of his head on the steps on Raw on Monday.
How did we never talk about that? Yeah.
Yeah, like I thought it was almost like, ooh, was that like, did he actually catch that accidentally?
Yeah.
And that was why the ref was calling in the thing. And then it became apparent as Moxley starts launching the attack. No, obviously this is all part of your script. But by this point, Callis had come over to check on Omega. Yeah, and I'm playing along still.
At first, he left the commentary booth, and I'm like, I get it. Yeah, he's just, off to the side, like, why, like, concerned for Omega in this situation. Even forget if it's story, that's the story they're trying to tell, is that Kenny's hurt and Moxley doesn't care. And if it's one of those kind of like, those things they would do with when they were trying to turn Bret Hart, when he would do that kind of stuff to people where he just sort of,
Yeah.
well, I don't give a shit anymore. I'm still going to beat the crap out of you. Right. Where it's like, maybe we're getting
Sure.
a little bit of that out of Moxley here. And maybe that's where my mind was at first too, where Don would just sort of like pleading a little bit. And then all of a sudden he had the microphone in his hand. I'm like, well, what does Don really have to say in this moment? But rather than trying to slow things down. But yeah, what are you thinking?
I thought at that point we were getting to Callis getting the microphone working to be like, hey, can't you see he's had enough? Stop this match. And being the reason that the match gets ended. And maybe it, doesn't go much further in a story on a full-time basis, but at least it gave Kenny an out for the match that he didn't lose it.
Right.
My good friend thought I was it hurt my eye or something, or really badly injured. So he stopped the match. I didn't lose the match.
Yeah.
So I thought it was giving him an out. I did not anticipate him dropping the mic for Kenny Omega.
Yeah, John Moxley having absolutely nothing with Don Callis on the outside, takes a big swing at him. Don takes a huge bump, landing on the ground. The microphone happens to roll into the middle of the ring, though, and Kenny snatches it up pretty quick and just lays it into John Moxley's forehead. Just
breaks the gentleman's agreement.
Yeah, breaks the gentleman's agreement. Has decided that no, this no longer needs to be the clean fight that everyone thought. We finally have got the full, heel turn that's been sort of building and building and building from Kenny Omega, whether he was, one way or the other, or whatever, and just sort of you're finally seeing a little bit another full side of that side of him here, this deceiving, obviously manipulative and lying character there by breaking the rules and hitting John Moxley with the microphone, and then fucking V-Trigger City. I think it was
4 or 5 V-Triggers in a row.
Smashing John Moxley's face just over and over again as Don Callis gets up and is looking more and more happy as each one keeps hitting him over and over and over again. And I'm freaking out on my fucking couch because I'm like, as they're screaming, like, what happened to the gentleman's agreement? And I'm like, what happens to the gentleman's agreement is we got a new fucking AEW champion. That's why. Throws him up for the goddamn one-wing angel, and no one kicks out of the one-wing angel.
Nobody.
Pops John Moxley on his fucking head. 1, 2, 3, new champ. Holy shit.
New AEW champion, the 3rd AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And he left with Don Callis. And they are caught by Marvez in the parking lot before they get into the limo to speed away. And Marvez says, what are you doing? What happened? What happened? And what did Callis say?
I'll tell you what happened on Tuesday. And he said, wait a minute, Tuesday? Dynamite airs on Wednesday. He's like, yeah, Impact, Tuesday. See you then. Both of them get into this cab and drive off. I'm like, holy shit. I could not have picked a better time to have been getting into Impact. I've been watching Impact for the last, 5 months or so, and I've been enjoying it. I'm so fucking pumped now because I was so worried about what was going to happen to Impact, and if they're going to get brought in with oh my god, this is just, I can't fucking wait.
Well, I mean, it's so crazy because we were just talking about this after our show this afternoon.
Yeah. Or
during our show this afternoon. I follow him doing our radio show.
Yeah.
We're talking about how do Impact survive? How do they do it? How do they make the money? Well, maybe this is how. Maybe they got investments from the Khan family as well.
Well, fuck. I mean, I'm going to say, I've been watching. I'm sure you're going to want to tune in on Impact on Tuesday. At least to see what Kenny Omega has to say, right?
They got me.
Fuck. Yeah.
They did what they have managed to pull off within 1 year. What I wanted to see WWF and WCW do for 10 to 15 years while I grew up watching wrestling, and neither side would bow down and acquiesce to the other and fucking do it.
Yeah.
And here we are. After all these years of WWF trying to contrive to do it with Raw and SmackDown, here we are. In less than 1 year, AEW are pulling it off.
No, yeah, it's just I'm mind blown. I'm super intrigued to see what this next chapter is. Everything just feels so different in AEW. We were talking about it earlier where we were just sort of we were struggling to kind of predict the road to Revolution. And again, that's because AEW hasn't been ready to tell us that story. We've just literally opened the book, it feels like, here on Winter's Coming, as to where the next 2 months are going to play out. And I still couldn't tell you what's going to happen in the next chapter. So
no, I mean, Revolution now could literally be the revolution of the Impact storming a takeover attempt of AEW, or vice versa, or God only knows at this point. Call Tony Khan the brain later because he just blew our mind. I told you I was going to steal that this week.
Booyah! There you go. Finally got one in there. No, I think 10 out of 10 Dynamite for me. This was fully lived up to the pay-per-view quality that they had promoted it as. Not only with the Sting thing, also with this main event thing. I thought even with the Sting moment, I had trepidations about, well, okay, the main event doesn't necessarily have to be like huge for the night not to feel amazing because the Sting moment happened and everything else. You would still be talking about that. You'd still be talking about this great match that Moxley and Kenny had. If it had just ended, like you said, at the Don Callis moment, if Callis had just called the match,
yeah,
you're like, okay, we're getting the next chapter later on, but right now this was the match we got to end this super studded night. That was the story they told, but this just upped the level for me, even more so than I was, just for the unexpected level. So yeah,
absolutely.
5 stars from the Low Blow team, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. It was, I saw it definitely pay-per-view worthy for sure, but it was a special. It truly was a special TV show with special matches set with special moments and different stuff that just made it a really unique Dynamite to watch tonight. Yeah. So fucking kudos. And they set up a hell of a good card for next week's show.
Yeah, you better hope this is the one time they don't have a big studded dark episode, because it usually teeters into Impact. So they're going to hopefully have a short dark at 7 o'clock to get you up to the 8 o'clock Impact show, which I would assume kicks off with Kenny Omega. I love there's been absolutely no tease of any of this on Impact at all. Like, Dawn hasn't been on Impact, like talking about, oh, but I've been at this other place. There's been nothing about Don Callis and the workings and what's going on here. Like, that's where I am just so intrigued as to what it could be. Like,
there's been nothing going on. Like, wrestling media has nothing on this. I can't wait for Dave Meltzer tomorrow on the fucking Observer to try to claim he knew this was happening and the setup was blah 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 and act as if he's
all there was that like
he
Don
didn't
Callis,
have a clue.
Like, clip where he was like, if AEW didn't happen, Kenny would have gone to Impact. And again, if that was all just a seed for this moment that's happening, I get that now, but that's the only time it's ever been referenced, right? Yeah, and then Don did the commentary on that match, and that was like on the Hangman match, and then that was kind of it until now. So
yeah, it was seen and played in wrestling media at that point as a complete one-off.
Yeah,
an agreement, a gentleman's working agreement between friends, because he really is friends with Kenny and blah, blah, blah. No indication at any point by anybody, oh, hang on, because something big coming where they're going to actually
we're doing
a real invasion angle. Nobody ever anticipated this. And that's, again, like we talked before about spoilers in wrestling. Spoilers don't necessarily spoil it for me, but I love the fact that this was both things tonight were absolute surprises.
I was gonna say, I'm sure it would have felt totally different if you knew Sting showed up and that Kenny was going to be on Impact on Tuesday. Like, would have given the night a total different feel, right?
I don't know, because it's still watching it is the moment for me. Even if I know something's coming, to see how they do it is the moment as it goes down and I remember it.
Fair enough.
I wouldn't say that, but to have the surprise factor of it be actually the surprise at the moment as opposed to the reading of it be the surprise. Yeah. That was really cool. And gotta be 8-10 years since the last time that would have happened. Easy.
That's
longer than that. Christ, I knew the Warrior was coming back to WCW a month before it fucking happened. So
they're few and far between, but it's like it's sometimes worth staying off the spoilers. So, or when they can keep the spoilers away from everybody here. So,
when they keep a secret. Yeah. Right. Obviously, it's still doable. That was 2 huge ones tonight.
Yeah. No.
Done by apparently the rookie, the inexperienced Tony Khan. So if he can do it, I'm pretty sure the WWF machine can do it when they want to. They just like leaking out the spoilers.
Yeah, it's like even if they knew everyone's talking about New Japan and everything else right now because it's New Japan season, then this is the perfect time for us to swerve everybody that this was actually what we had planned all along. No, I'm all for it. Can't wait to see what's happening next time. But I think that about wraps it up for our blow by blow here. We could keep rambling and giving this praise, but I think we've done enough of that here on this blow by blow for Winter is Coming. But let everyone know where they can hear us, Chris.
You can listen to us every Wednesday evening on the radio, 88.7 The River, local radio at its best. And that's in Ontario, Canada. If you're outside of Ontario and you don't get that on your dial, check us out online, 887theriver.ca. We're under the archives tab. And this show, in audio version, without our pretty faces and costumes, is available on the Sounder Network and all the podcast sites that they distribute to.
Yes, I managed to keep my fluffy hat on this whole time. My head is sweating buckets. I can't wait to get this off for a little bit. But yes, thank you all for watching here on YouTube. You can get into you can subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos. Click the little bell, lets you know when they pop up, when they're posted and stuff like that. You can like this video. That always helps our analytics. And you can get into the comments and let us know what you thought of this amazing episode of Winter is Coming from AEW. But we will be back with another blow by blow here next time on Low Blow Radio Podcast.
Adios, amigos.
Now I want to wrestle.